Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Today I want to talk about the news that recently just broke that Colin Farrell is rumored to play Sergeant Rock in the newest film under James Gunn's new DC universe. And I think that this is really interesting because for those of you who don't know, Colin Farrell just played the Penguin in Matt Reeves' spin-off series from The Batman in The Penguin Show. Now on one hand, Colin Farrell is a fantastic actor and I think he absolutely deserves a role like this. He's one of those actors that is so good but has never been given a huge blockbuster franchise that was successful. Sure, he was in a lot of big budgeted movies like the Total Recall remake, and I don't know why I used that one as my example. He's been in a lot of really big movies that haven't done necessarily great. He's done great in movies where he's like a side character, but he's never gotten the opportunity to like headline this big blockbuster tentpole summer movie. And now he's getting the chance in a Sergeant Rock comic, which was arguably one of the biggest comics back in like the late 70s and early 80s. There was like a whole toy line of him. It was kind of rivaling G.I. Joe at the time, and it's a really popular character about just an American-born hero, which is ironic because Colin Farrell isn't actually American, he's Irish, but regardless, he is predominantly big in America as a star. This is where he got his fame. So I think it's long overdue that he got a role like this. Well, on one hand, they were also going to cast Daniel Craig in this role, who apparently passed on it. And it's just funny that they keep trying to cast people that aren't American to be such an American patriotic person. But that's besides the point. I don't really care. Just get the best actor for the role. They're all great at faking American accents. It just seems like foreign talent is better than the own talent within our country. At least that's what producers and directors feel, obviously. But the problem I'm having with this is that he is also in the DC universe as another character. And sure, as the Penguin, he is buried under mountains of makeup, and to the average Joe, you might not realize that he is in fact playing the Penguin, but I can't help but feel like it's a slight from James Gunn to Matt Reeves, whereas in like this Matt Reeves verse, he's calling it the Bat Crime Saga, where it's only going to focus on Batman and his enemies, and he wants to do his trilogy and then be done with it. He doesn't want to be part of the overall larger DCU. He doesn't want Superman flying around in this world. He just wants it to be very grounded in reality. And the Penguin is arguably the second biggest character of this franchise. When you think of Matt Reeves' Batman verse, you think of Colin Farrell, you think of Robert Pattinson as Batman, and you think of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. They're the three biggest people in this franchise, especially now that Colin Farrell got his own TV show to set up the next Batman film. And now here James Gunn comes and goes, but we also want you to be Sergeant Rock. Now, is that going to take away from the Penguin? I don't know. I don't think so. But it definitely furthers into the idea that this Matt Reeves universe takes place in a separate universe, and it kind of puts the final nail in the coffin that they could ever intertwine. A lot of people were thinking like, hey, maybe Robert Pattinson's Batman will be the Batman of the DCU. Well, I think that this is, like I said, the final nail in the coffin, pretty much putting an exclamation point on the fact that no, this is not our Batman in our DCU, says James Gunn. We are going to have a different one. Matt Reeves' universe is definitely off to the side. And if I'm being quite honest here, I don't know if we're ever going to get a sequel to The Batman 2, which is so depressing to me because it's my favorite Batman movie. I'm not going to sit here and say I think he's the best Batman, but I grew up reading the detective comics where he was, again, at the end of the day, a detective in a really disgusting, grimy, crime-ridden world where you haven't really got that in a lot of the Batman movies. You saw little peeks of it in Batman vs. Superman, where like how filthy Gotham is, but it doesn't really appear that way in the Nolan universe. And the Tim Burton universe always felt like this gothic era, like different reality version of it, whereas in Matt Reeves' verse, it felt like Chicago or Manhattan if it was times 10 in terms of the crime rate. Like it was a living, breathing character in and of itself. And we got that in the Matt Reeves Batman. And I don't know if James Gunn is going to want to muddy the waters with two separate universes going at the same time. It's like, here's our Batman, and then here's Matt Reeves' Batman. And what if his Batman is just mediocre, and then Matt Reeves' Batman is getting Oscar nominations the way that the first one did? That's not going to look good on James Gunn. So I would imagine he does want to distance himself with this. But because the Batman from Matt Reeves was so beloved and won all these awards and made a lot of money, I could see why David Zaslav was like, no, you're not canceling this. It's done too well for us. You got to just have it exist parallel to your universe. And I bet that irks James Gunn a little bit. I bet it does. It would irk me too if I was trying to start up my own universe and I had another person within my own company rivaling me. So there's a part of me that feels like this is a slight towards him, almost pulling Colin Farrell away from Matt Reeves' verse. But at the same time, Matt Reeves has had the last 3 years to write a script to film, and he's still not ready yet. Now, there's rumor in Hollywood that Matt Reeves is notorious for taking an obnoxious amount of time to write scripts. Like, he's just a really slow developer developer. And maybe 15 years ago that would have been okay when they were just kind of waiting patiently for him to get his next Batman film done. But with every year that passes, I'm not going to say interest in Batman is going away, but that like rabid interest is slowly diminishing, and people are getting more and more excited about the James Gunn universe. And I think that the longer Matt Reeves takes to make this come to fruition, the least likely it is that we're actually going to get a sequel to it, especially if he gets Superman out, Wonder Woman, a Batman movie, the Green Lantern show, the Wonder Woman show. If all that comes out and it's great and people are now super excited about that, it's even less likely we're going to get the Matt Reeves Batman. But harkening back all the way to the beginning, all that being said, and my worries aside, I do think that this is a great casting for Colin Farrell because, again, I love him so much as an actor, and he's never been given that platform to stand on that was successful, and I think that this character could be that for him, and I'm really excited to see how he portrays it. I'm excited to see which part of the comics they adapt. Sergeant Rock has battled not only Nazis, but he's also battled zombies, and there's an infinite amount of possibilities that they could take this character in. I love the fact that the first phase of this DC universe is called Gods and Monsters, and I really want them to kind of tap into something that Marvel never has. What does a superhero universe look like with horror themes? Let's get a horror-themed Sergeant Rock movie where he's literally battling the undead and it's like actually scary. Let's make this Swamp Thing by James Mangold a horror film. They already talked about how the Clayface film coming out is going to be a body horror film, which is super exciting, and I think that they have this avenue that Marvel won't trek down because they're too kid and family friendly, where we can get like these grotesque R-rated horror superhero themed things, and that's really exciting. So anyway guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited to see Colin Farrell take on this iconic character? If you are, let's talk about it. And as always guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.